Contraband.
Yes.
What excited you about Contraband? Why did you want to be a part of that project?
Well, I've been a big fan of Mark Wahlberg for a really long time, and you know, I was really excited to work with him. And I've never played a character quite like that before. I'd never been to New Orleans. I'd never had any experience of anything like that. And she's a different kind of a character for me. So I was really excited to do that. And I loved the original movie, the Icelandic movie, when I saw it, and thought it was so interesting that the director of our movie was going to be the person who played the lead in that one. So it was a cool experience.
Great. And how did you and Mark work together? How did you guys kind of...
Well, we met and we rehearsed a little bit with him and Giovanni and Ben, and then the boys all went off and started doing a lot of the very boys stuff, and I showed up. So really it was a question of how do you make, you know, yourself feel that you're comfortably married to somebody for a long time, you know, when you haven't really known them very long, you know. So that was really our challenge, you know.
Great. And describe the life Chris and Kate have at the start of the movie. What kind of a relationship do they have?
Well, you don't get to see them very much before everything kind of kicks off, but, you know, certainly what we had discussed was that, you know, I guess Mark's character had been, you know, not totally legally employed for a long time, and I think that largely probably got out of that life because of his wife and the fact that they had children, and she wanted him to just not be taking so many risks. And, you know, his father's already in jail, and she didn't want to be visiting her husband in jail. So, so I think he left that business, and, you know, probably with some relief and also a little bit of longing for the excitement, but has this new life and a rather kind of pedestrian job as a security guard, and certainly doing, you know, in-home security systems, and I'm very happy with that until my brother, who I have raised, gets into some trouble smuggling and dumps some drugs and gets in big trouble with Giovanni Ribisi, who is the nicest man in the world and one of the scariest performances ever, and so they really kind of put the pressure on for Mark to go back into the smuggling life to repay the debt.
Great. You answered my next question. So what does Briggs do to Kate in order to make sure Chris delivers the goods?
Well, you know, Kate is left at home with the boys while, you know, crossing her fingers like mad that it all goes very smoothly with Mark's character, and of course it doesn't. So Briggs arrives at my house unannounced and, you know, barges his way in and, you know, applies a lot of physical and mental pressure to, you know, to make her basically tell her husband that, you know, he can't dump anything, and she doesn't really know what he's talking about at that point, so she's just terrified. And her children are threatened with a gun pointed at them, and he tears up a couch, and, you know, it's all a nightmare.
A great nightmare, though. What makes Kate such a strong, and interesting character?
Well, I really liked her because she's got kind of the best of that really kind of typical, you know, working class woman who she's strong, she's raised her brother, she obviously hasn't had any help, she's had a tough life, and she adores her husband. She loves him, and she loves their family, and she's very fiercely protective of that, while still being, you know, she's not like an ass-kicking woman. She's a strong, very female, very feminine woman, but she's not somebody who's, you know, used to getting physically violent. And so I think it's very shocking for her when she gets treated so harshly by Briggs. But she's got a wonderful spirit of kind of like, you know, those great New Orleans women.
Was it great? I mean, what was fun about playing? Was it pretty? I mean, you know, you do a lot of getting thrown around.
Yeah, in fact, it felt like there was a lot more of it than I had originally realized in the script. And one of the things I liked was that, you know, having not ever been to New Orleans before, and they didn't want to make the characters, well, certainly my character, really, really strongly, you know, New Orleans accent, but I really wanted to kind of have a flavor of that. And so I made a little trip out to New Orleans and met some women who were actually hairdressers, like my character is a hairdresser, and interviewed with them and studied how they were talking, and, you know, and talked to them. So I love all that part of a role where you get to really kind of research it and live in it for a bit. So
the script, I mean, it's a great story. I mean, it's kind of like these twists, and you're not really sure. Was that one of the things that kind of like sort of really...
Yeah, I think the themes of, you know, love and trust and betrayal and, you know, all that stuff getting overturned are endlessly interesting. So, you know, yeah, I like the way the story goes along.
It's great. And how was your working relationship with Ben Foster Sebastian?
Well, he and I, obviously we wanted to feel as well that we had intimacy. Obviously, he's been my husband's best friend for a long time, and certainly has had his own share of troubles. And I'm sure, we're feeling that he's probably crashed at our house a lot whilst in a drunken state, and now appears to have cleaned himself up. He's going to AA meetings, but he's still, he and I are close, like that. So, we would hang out, and I got on great with him. He at rehearsals when I met him, he was quite scary because he'd got a kind of completely shaved head and covered in tattoos, and he'd been filming something where he was playing, I think, a homeless person or somebody, kind of a bit scary, and so he was quite unforthcoming in rehearsal, and I thought, oh my God, what's he going to be like? But he was very silly and very funny, and we had a good time despite the fact that I had to keep slapping him in the face over and over again.
That must have been great. Here you are on a set, three awesome guys. What was that like?
I'm always the only girl. It's such a fun for me when I get actually another woman on the set, because it's usually just me. But we had a pretty good crop this time. Yeah, they were lovely.
Great. And finally, what can audience expect from the film? What is your hope that they...
It's very exciting. I think the thing is there's good characters, there's strong characters, and, you're invested in their lives and very interested in what happens, and the movie just jams along, so it's very entertaining.
You are very busy.
I have been busy this year. It kind of snuck up on me, yeah.
And you got two or three more films that are
I've got two more. I've got Underworld is coming out, and Underworld 4, and then Total Recall as well.
But in production as well, aren't you getting ready to go in?
Well, I'm not sure. That's kind of a little bit question mark over those. But at the moment, I'm just going through getting my daughter started in middle school, so that's been my big job lately.
Well, cool. Yeah. Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bless you.
Thank you so much.